Today on Similar Cinema, we're going to be comparing two of the biggest directors, Scorsese and Spielberg, on their use of the tracking shot in Schindler's List and... no, not that one, in The Wolf of Wall Street. First off, let's talk about the films at large. The Wolf of Wall Street follows this scummy hotshot businessman called Jordan Belfort on his rise and sort of fall from power. Schindler's List follows a scummy hotshot businessman on his road to redemption, as he saves over 1,000 Jewish people from concentration camps by the end of the film. Of course, both characters are direct descendants of a certain scummy hotshot businessman with a turbulent life from a certain other iconic film, but what is it exactly that binds the two? And how do these directors use a tracking shot to do it? I mean, surely these movies have more in common than just the fact that both of their lead actors got snubbed at the Oscars. I mean, I like Tom Hanks and Matthew McConaughey, but these are performances of a lifetime. I mean, seriously, it's ridiculous. These two movies aren't anywhere near as memorable as Schindler's List or Wolf of Wall Street, but they both won? It's bullshit! Both tracking shots open by following the main characters entering their environment. Then the camera leaves the characters to establish a bustling setting and create the sense that everyone's bending to their will, as if they only exist to serve our main character. Then the camera returns to them at the end, revealing them at their happiest, in their element, and in Schindler's List's case, for the first time. These tracking shots are pointing out the luxury, the abundance, and the self-importance that both these characters have in their stories at this point. But there's still a lot of differences between them. First of all, the duration, the speed, and the content of the two tracking shots. Schindler's List tracking shot isn't even 40 seconds long, and while it does explore this packed restaurant, the number of core elements in the scene are minimal, as it only really focuses on the waiter and Schindler, and it takes its time with these characters, creating a smooth, elegant, subtle tracking shot. Meanwhile, the Wolf of Wall Street's tracking shot hurtles through its environment like a cannonball in comparison, overloading the audience with characters placed in the foreground of the shot and clocks in at almost a minute in length, making this tracking shot huge, flamboyant, and self-indulgent, just like its main character. Similar contrasts appear in their use of lighting. Schindler's List lighting is subtler, with soft light coming from lamps and chandeliers dotted around the room to create a simple, relaxed atmosphere. Of course, this subtlety is most obvious because it's shot in black and white, which makes the atmosphere even more restrained. In comparison, The Wolf of Wall Street is flooded with colour, and the harsh fluorescent lighting makes it so that the audience has to look at every part of this angry, chaotic, frankly terrifying office environment Belfort has made. The audio like the lighting's a lot more subtle in Schindler's List, with most of it being made up of the chatter of the restaurant and the song Pouring a Cabeza being played over the top. And none of the audio is really loud at all. Meanwhile, The Wolf of Wall Street blasts you in the ears with an obnoxious voiceover from the protagonist that eventually turns into a soliloquy spoken straight into the camera while the rock song Uncontrollable Urge plays in the background. In Schindler's List, Oskar Schindler doesn't even utter a word. Sorry. The different choice in lenses separates the two scenes as well. A slightly tight lens closer to the human eye is used in Schindler's List, and it makes you feel like you're really following the character into the room. This allows the audience to focus less on the environment and more on Schindler himself, who the audience are still waiting to see at this point. Meanwhile, a wide-angle lens is used in The Wolf of Wall Street to emphasise this enormous environment overflowing with people all working for Belfort. We focus a lot less on the character himself and more on this environment he's created and surrounded himself with. While these techniques are different, as one quietly builds the character up and reveals him at the end, while the other revels in exposing the character's charisma and personality and testosterone, the effects of them are similar in establishing these greedy characters. But the slightly diverging ideas in the scenes perfectly encapsulates the differences in these directors' viewpoints of this stereotypical 1% of the 1% character. Scorsese views the character as a scumbag, a hedonist, and a philistine, through and through. He forces the audience to see how Belfort preys on the ignorant and intoxicates the people around him with his immoral ideas. There's no doubt in Scorsese's mind that Belfort is a disgusting man beyond redemption. Scorsese spent his filmography following these kinds of characters, so it's no wonder that he's come to this conclusion. Meanwhile, Spielberg views the selfish rich man as someone in need of redemption. He believes that even the greediest, most selfish person holds enough goodness in their hearts to do the right thing. And he uses very subtle techniques to make it clear to us that there is hope for him in this tracking shot. And when you look at his movies, it becomes pretty obvious that, well, he's a big softie. He makes big, soft crowd pleasers after all. You can't help but put a happy ending into his movies, some positive catharsis.
But that is who he is, and he has made some of the most iconic films of all time.
Watching these two directors take on this iconic archetype,
and seeing the differences in their interpretations perfectly sum up their different philosophies on humanity and society is something truly amazing.
but for those two scenes, those two tracking shots, it could just as easily have been Jordan Belfort sitting in that chair, and Oskar Schindler talking to that camera, as it could have been the other way around. And that's why this is a case of similar cinema. Thanks for watching, guys. This is my first video, so I'm a bit rough around the edges, but thanks for sticking with me. I wanted to ask if anyone had suggestions for a future video, any other similarities between movies that they could come up with, and to leave them in the comments if you could. Anyway, I wanted to end this video with telling you what I want to do for my next video. I want to compare a carefree, lovable teenage boy protagonist with an equally terrifying, psychopathic teenage boy. That's all. Thanks for watching.